Benvenuti everyone, I'm Ariel with Urbanist, and right now we are in the Cathedral de Saint Ignazio, which is the father of the Jesuit order. These mind-bending murals made by Father Andrea Pozzo. This is one of the most mind-bending ceiling murals ever made. This is Father Andrea Pozzo, and it looks like the dome is reaching far higher than it actually does. It's not that tall of a cathedral, but it looks like it. Let me show you. We'll talk more about it outside. Look at that. So it looks like it's reaching into the heavens. The church itself is transcending physical architecture, leading up to a spiritual realm of higher learning, of higher spirituality. This is the premier church of the Jesuit order, the Society of Jesus, very important sect in Catholic Christianity. Now, in order to get the full effect, we have to go immediately underneath. Brace yourselves, everyone. That's not real. It's a ceiling mural, completely made of al fresco painting. That dome isn't real either. Also another painting perspective. Bienvenuti everyone, I'm Ariel with Urbanist, and what did we just see in there? Possibly one of the most mind-blowing ceiling murals outside of the Sistine Chapel in the Eternal City, Rome, Italy. This is the Cathedral of Sang-Hee, Nacio. Now, Saint Ignatius we have talked about before, of Loyola. He was featured in El Jesuit Church in the Upper East Side in one of my Hidden History episodes. El Jesuit is a recreation of a nearby church. This is the second major cathedral in this immediate area dedicated to the Jesuit order, also known as the Society of Jesus. Now, the Society of Jesus is its own order and has been very strong for the past 400 and something years, since the 1600s, since Saint Ignatius himself. Let me show you a cathedral in its full view from outside. Hello Ian, hello Christine, hello Kay, hello Patty, hello Sven. Welcome everyone. Let me know where you're watching from, and let me show you a little bit more of Saint Ignatius Cathedral. So the cathedral, they asked for complete silence, so that's why I was unable to speak inside. But now that we're outside, we can talk a little bit more about Saint Ignatius. And this area of Rome, we're currently maybe less than a 5-minute walk away from the Pantheon, right next to the monument of Saint Emmanuel. This is basically the Jesuit area of Rome. A lot of the major Jesuit buildings are based here. But who are the Jesuits? Well, it comes from the name Jesus, Society of Jesus. And the Jesuit order is basically kind of like the intellectual order of the Catholic Church, the Roman Catholic Church. Saint Ignatius of Loyola was a soldier in the Spanish army. And he lived a very hedonistic life. He loved to be with women, he loved to fight random brawls, and also he loved to do war. However, in one battle in some castle in northern Spain, he fought very valiantly, and everyone thought he was amongst the best soldiers of his own battalion. However, the battle was overrun, and he got shot in the leg, and he was unable to walk for many months. Doctors were aiming to amputate his leg. However, Saint Ignatius decided to not amputate and try to heal himself naturally. Through those many months of very long recovery, he started reading religious texts, specifically the Catholic Bible. And he grew more and more in love with it. And as he looked back to his life as a soldier, a hedonistic soldier, with women, with fights, with brawls, and compared it to now his life bedridden, reading religious texts of Jesus and the Gospels, he felt more pleasure, he said, reading those religious texts. Very interesting, especially from a man who lived on the edge. So he continued following that instinct, reading more and more religious texts, consuming everything he could about the Catholic religion, until he started helping people through these spiritual exercises so they can go through the same thing that he did, this kind of awakening. In the worst of circumstances, him about to lose his leg, maybe never be able to walk again, he wanted to spread this kind of spiritual awakening to others, and he started teaching people in his area of Spain. However, he had zero theological training. He was not a priest nor a monk. So the Catholic Church found that a little bit weird, because this was right during the height of the Spanish Inquisition. And during the Spanish Inquisition, they were trying to stamp out any, aside from stamping out other religions like the Islamic religion, they were also trying to stamp out any sub-religions in the Christian Church that could threaten the Roman Catholic Church. Saint Ignatius looked like he was starting a cult. However, he decided to convince them that no, he's trying to abide by the Roman Catholic Church, and by doing so, he'll go up to Paris to study theology. So Saint Ignatius, with a few dollars to his name, he decided to walk all the way from northern Spain to Paris to study theology. And he passed with flying colors. He was one amongst the smartest in his class, and there he met a few friends of his that end up becoming the Society of Jesus, because they wanted to get together and do something that were kind of warriors for Jesus Christ. But warriors not in the sense of making battle, like the Knights Templar that were stamped out by the Roman Catholic Church of century before him, but battle in a different way, intellectually and through preaching. The Jesuits end up becoming an order that would further learning intellectually about the world, all different languages, and also send missionaries all across the world, from Japan to the jungles of the Amazon. Everywhere the Jesuits have laid their mark. And through that, they have gained quite a bit of wealth. They take a vow of poverty. However, the society itself is very, very well off. Hence, these massive cathedrals. And what we saw inside was probably one of the best examples of ceiling murals made during the Baroque era. Right at the end of the Baroque era, after it started getting Baroque paintings as opposed to Renaissance paintings were very dark and very kind of muted colors and had a lot of dark imagery. But towards the end of the Baroque era, they kind of wanted more lightness back in these paintings, more kind of spiritual transcendence. So they end up hiring Father Andrea Pozzo, who ended up becoming a Jesuit, and he decided to bring light and levity into his ceiling mural. And that's the most interesting thing about that mural. It looks like it's reaching towards the heavens above. It's a complete cheat of the eye. It's a cheat of perspective. But at that time, to paint that perspective was something really innovative. Michelangelo was one of the very first ones to do it with the Sistine Chapel. But Pozzo, as you saw there, took it to a whole new level. The figures on the side of the building look like they look like they're part of the architecture. If you didn't know it was a mural and you came here on any random day, not knowing this was a tourist attraction either, you might think to yourself, are those statues? The thing is, Father Andrea Pozzo was an architect aside from being a painter, similar to his predecessor Michelangelo. But he was more of a serious architect. Michelangelo was first a sculptor, then a painter, then an architect. Pozzo was first an architect, then a muralist. That's how he knew how to paint those crazy perspectives. Now, with the church, originally they had a plan to build a huge dome. A dome that might be almost the size of St. Peter's. They couldn't quite surpass St. Peter's. The Jesuits didn't want to gloat too much. So they realized might not be the best idea to build a huge dome, and also it costs a whole lot of money. So they hired Pozzo to also paint this kind of perspective mural of a dome reaching into the high heavens. If you look at the perspective dome, which we couldn't see because it was very dark, it looks like it's taller than St. Peter's. So Pozzo, genius muralist. Susan, that was breathtaking. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. Hello, Christine from Florida. Hello, Frank from San Antonio. Hello, Kay. And hello, Donald. It sounds like your history research has really paid off. Oh, thank you, Donald. Well, you know, the cool thing is I'm constantly finding more connections between New York City and cities all around the world. As you already know, I've done many more videos in New York than any other city thus far, and just learning about New York City history itself has paid off because there's connections to all types of world history, especially European history. Hello, Jenny. Welcome. Nice to see you here. So since we're here, let me show you a little bit more of this area, this Jesuit area. Now, the interesting thing about the Society of Jesus is that the head of the Society of Jesus is known as the Black Pope. The Black Pope because he wears always pure black clothing, unlike the regular Pope that uses usually whites or greens, very vibrant colors, or gold, white and gold mostly. There is a second reason why they call him the Black Pope. As I mentioned, the Society of Jesus has their influence in every single part of the world. The Jesuits are responsible for starting the Catholic religion, in essence, in South America and Latin America, which right now is the most populous area of the world that is Roman Catholic. The Jesuits also have their hand in starting Roman Catholicism in many parts of Africa, which are also very populous and also amongst the most populous nations that are Roman Catholic. That means the Jesuits have their influence all around the world: Africa, Latin America, Asia, and North America. With that, they also have a lot of landholdings and schools, and also intellectual things that they have acquired, like books and research and universities and professors, etc., etc., etc. They have immense influence, along with that immense wealth. So they call him the Black Pope because a lot of people think that the Black Pope, the head of the Society of Jesus, is more powerful than the Pope. Though I'm not really too into Christian or Catholic politics, so I don't know the full story, but that's kind of like a little jib that when they call him the Black Pope. The interesting thing is that this new Pope, Pope Francis, who's been Pope for a few years, is actually a member of the Society of Jesus. He's the very first Jesuit to have been elevated to the rank of Pope, which is unprecedented because the Jesuits usually have always made their intentions clear. They did not want to take control of the Roman Catholic Church. Even in 1797, when they were stamped out, they were trying to be actually oppressed and stamped out to the fullest extent. They survived because they said, we don't intend on taking any higher rank aside from having our top members and maybe a few cardinals. Otherwise, we don't intend on being Pope. But that all changed with Pope Francis, who was the first Jesuit Pope. Hello, Tuba! Nice to see you live as well. Alright, let's keep on walking around. Beautiful church. And you can tell, looks a whole lot like the one in the Upper East Side, except the Upper East Side one is a little bit smaller. So here are the beautiful streets of Rome. Hey, Lauren! I'm so happy you're watching from Florida and you're able to tune in live. Thank you so much for coming along. So I love the look of these streets. Absolutely wonderful. Valeria, welcome. I'm glad you love this. So here's one of the major thoroughfares amongst the historic center. The center is very tiny and cramped in the middle, but there are some like major streets that bore right through it. So right now we're walking through a city that's more than 2,000 years old. A lot of the buildings that we're surrounded by are right now dating back, most of them, towards the 1600s. Right as Rome came upon the scene again, after being attacked multiple times through the Spanish Inquisition and then the Reformation, right at the Renaissance, Rome elevated once again and rebuilt. And that's why we have all these wonderful churches and buildings all around the center area. Hello from Brazil. I'm glad you're watching from Brazil. So right there we see the monument of Saint Emmanuel. Let's take a closer look at it and end our broadcast today here. It's very interesting. Rome is a fascinating city because it's very old. These buildings, as I mentioned, 1600s, pure stone, but it still feels new. I mean, it's not new. It still feels like a huge city, a metropolis. All right, let's check this out. Wow. So this is one of the major residences of Pope Julius II. He lived here for quite a while, had this beautiful courtyard in the middle, and you can visit his apartments. They are open. This is the name, Galleria Doria Pamphili. And that's how the apartments look like inside. A lot of these popes were also very well off and came from major families all around Italy, mostly centered in northern Italy, Rome and above, including Pope Julius. And the majority of them were Italian, save for 2 or 3 French ones. And now recently Pope Francis, who's from Argentina, but of Italian descent. Hello, Tony. Welcome, welcome. Nice to see you here. So it's very interesting that the Jesuits actually built their center, their headquarters, right next to the major residences of not just one pope, about 3 different popes lived in this immediate area. Bon dia from Curaçao. Welcome, Corin. So happy you're watching from Curaçao. There it is, ladies and gentlemen, the monument of Victor Emmanuel. cross the street and get a little bit closer to it. Victor Emmanuel became king after Garibaldi, general, end up conquering Italian land that was ruled by other different European powers, including France, Germany, and a few others, the Austrians as well. And Garibaldi ended up uniting Italy. However, he did not want power. He was dictator for, I think, a few months, but he ended up handing over that power to a royal, or at least a newly minted royal family of Italy. And this ended up being King Victor Emmanuel, who's depicted right there. Now, this is also known as the wedding cake in Italian, because it kind of looks like a huge wedding cake. A lot of people think it's a sore sight upon this very ancient city. No, I think it kind of matches pretty well. It's ostentatious indeed, but the ancient Romans were also ostentatious. Now, what I love about Rome is all these beautiful trees. When you look at movies that take place in ancient Rome or paintings that depict ancient Rome, you always see these type of trees. I actually don't know the names of them yet. Tony, this is beautiful. Thank you for sharing your experience. My pleasure, Tony. So here we're right by Museo de Palazzo Venezia. Hello, Lorraine. So this is probably one of the biggest intersections I've seen in Rome. Rome, a lot of it is much smaller streets, but this is almost compared to what we see in the Arc de Triomphe. So designed by Giuseppe Sacconi, the monument construction started in 1885 and was erected in the honor of King Victor Emmanuel II, who was inaugurated in 1911 after the unification of Italy. And this was a long time coming, because while we might associate Rome with being Italian, Rome was its own thing, and the Roman version of Italian spoken is only spoken in this modern state of Lazio. So for most of its history after the ancient Roman Empire, modern day Italy was split up into many different kingdoms, including the kingdom of Sicily and Naples. We have the Papal States, which was Rome. So we can't sit on the steps, but we can walk on them. I hope I'm seeing every single comment. If you are watching, let me know where you're watching from. Oh, look at that. Wow. Ooh, hot day today. Here's the eternal flames for the unknown soldiers that fought in World War I and World War II. I think this is mostly dedicated to World War I. Hey Tony, you're from Pennsylvania, welcome. Unlike the eternal flame that's underneath the Arc de Triomphe, I don't think anyone will be able to urinate on this one, luckily. If you see my Arc de Triomphe video, highly recommend checking it out. You'll understand that reference. Hey Danny from Knoxville, you're enjoying this. For some reason, when we were there a couple years ago, we did not go into that building. Yeah, you know, it's as you can tell, there's not that many tourists, especially in this area. I went to the Pantheon yesterday, shot a very quick 360 video. I'll be back there tomorrow on live. It's way more packed. There's 2 or 3 times more people there. But here, not so many. I don't think it's definitely not among the most popular. Lynn, thank you so much for saying hi. I hope you enjoy it later. So on the bottom, it represents the 14 different Italian cities. Among them, Rome, Naples, Florence, Turin, and many, many others. Hello, Wilma. Nice to see you here. Welcome. So, as many of you know, the royal house of Victor Emmanuel II did not last for long, because Italy was plunged into World War I, and right after World War I, a man by the name of Benito Mussolini took total control, became the first major fascist dictator of Europe, inspiring many others across this continent. Hello Derek, hello Wilma. Alright, we're almost up there. Stay tuned. Bernadette, I'm so happy you enjoyed my bus tour yesterday.
Basically, it's a massive monument. You're right.
So this definitely looks like a huge wedding cake from this perspective. Now I know what they mean, especially the ridges. They're usually kind of decorated with doilies. And wow. So let's see if we can go further up. But this view is already impressive. So right over there we see St. Peter's Basilica in Vatican City. 1, 2, I think these are 2 of the 7 hills of Rome. 3. I think this might be the 4th. You say Naomi is still asleep. Naomi usually tunes in, but yeah, I ended up doing a broadcast earlier today. Today we're not talking about too much history, but tomorrow stay tuned for daily historical tours. Tomorrow will be at 3 p.m. Rome time, the Pantheon and its mysteries. Lily, beautiful, look at this. Oh, so happy Naomi loves my show. That's so awesome. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions about Rome as we continue venturing up to the top. Let's see if we can go all the way to the very top in order to see one of the best views of Rome from above. As you can tell, Rome doesn't have that many tall buildings. It's not like a city like Paris that has the Tour de Montparnasse in the middle of it. Of course, New York City with the Freedom Tower and countless other skyscrapers. This is a much lower city. But despite it being a lower city, it has a gorgeous skyline because these magnificent domes that reign above it are just absolutely gorgeous to look at. So let's continue upstairs, Well, Sandy, thank you so much for the correction. My mistake. And there we go. Oh, wow. There we see the Colosseum. I'll be there on the 16th of October. Stay tuned. And here we see the grounds of the Roman Forum. The most visible remnants of ancient Rome, especially the center of power in ancient Rome. Buongiorno, Lou. So yeah, this is just a random Facebook Live. It's not planned whatsoever. I just went to Saint Ignatius. I saw that it's not so easy video there, so I was going to do it tomorrow for my Pantheon video. But I decided to just c'est la vie, as they say in French. I'm not sure what the Italian version of it is. I just decided to go live and show you Saint Ignatius. And now here, because it's absolutely gorgeous. And I think it's a great start to this Italian adventure by seeing views of all Rome. Let's check it out. The temperature right now, it's a nice 72, 73 degrees Fahrenheit. Not entirely sure what that is in Celsius. So, especially because there's barely any clouds in the sky, and Rome still tends to be humid even at this temperature, you don't really need any jacket or sweater. Actually, I think I'm a little bit overdressed and could have done with just shorts and a short sleeve shirt. Oh, wow. Helga, welcome. The sky's blue like in Cyprus. Yeah, I mean, it's that Mediterranean weather. If you come to the Mediterranean, get ready to get a good tan. And also sweat a lot while walking around. Yet it's still pretty cool. So it's not as hot as it is here, as it is in the summer. So October is a great month to visit Rome. But you still don't need to wear a big jacket like you do in the winter. Nor do you have to be really sweaty like you are in the summer. But just look at those marvelous views. Look at all those domes that reign above the Rome skyline. You can recall yesterday we actually went on the bus tour through this route. Whoa, so huge. So we're gonna notice this as we go to many other monuments, especially the ones that were built during ancient Rome and during the Renaissance. They're human-sized. So those monuments, usually you can see them with your entire field of view. You don't really need to kind of tilt your head all around to see the entire diameter of these architectural buildings. But post 1900s, starting with King Victor Emmanuel, and then definitely later on with Benito Mussolini taking control, that was a start to monumental architecture. Monumental architecture also ended up inspiring the Soviet Union. Monumental architecture is the architecture that's so big you can barely encompass it with just one single look, one single glance. It makes you feel small and tiny. And the reason is that it's very specific. King Victor Emmanuel wanted to establish total control over Italy, finally reigning it all together under one single ruler. It was a very difficult feat to overcome, especially with all these battling European powers that were at each other's throats, the Germans, the British, and the French. But also, they wanted the common people to not revolt, because all around Eastern Europe, Russia, and many other parts of the world, there was multiple revolutions. In the Soviet Union, end up becoming the Soviet Union, was the Communist Revolution. Also in France was the what we talked about, the huge revolution that happened amongst the people, which was one of the bloodiest battles in the streets of Paris. Italy did not want that. And one way they combated that type of thinking that I can revolt against the state, was for the state to make you feel absolutely tiny. You'll see this architecture, very similar style in Romania, in Bucharest, which I briefly showed in one of my broadcasts. So keep that in mind as we continue looking through more monuments, and we might go to see the area where Benito Mussolini built all of his monumental buildings.
Okay. So I think there's no staircases to go all the way to the top. So we might have to take the elevator. Alright, we're back. And Jenny, welcome. Nina, you say it's awful weather here. Lucky me. Yeah, I do feel very lucky to be here, as the weather is absolutely relaxing. One ticket, please. Thank you. Thank you. Scusi. Alright, here we have arrived. Glad many of you stayed watching despite me waiting for a good 10 minutes. That's very impressive. Now, 10 euros seems a little bit steep to take a little elevator about 4 stories above, but wow, I am blown away. There's very few views you can see in Rome from this height above, one of them being St. Peter's Basilica, and maybe I will be visiting the dome as well there. But look at this. So here we can also see the perspective of the 7 hills of Rome. Wow, that. So right over there we have the Colosseum in all beautiful glory. Colosseum, one of the iconic homes of the gladiatorial battles during ancient Rome. Some of the craziest things took place there, including naval battles, ritual sacrifices, and also very, very bloody gladiatorial combat between men from all around the realm. Right there we have the Roman Forum. We're going to walk all through that on the 16th. Stay tuned. And then let me know if you spot any other major attractions from this perspective. I'm still getting to know Rome. We're all kind of going to learn about it together as we go through these 2 weeks. Mark, fabulous view indeed. Oh yeah. Look at this huge statue of an angel on a chariot. And there we just walk through. So, Chiesa de San Ignazio, the Church of Saint Ignatius, is right there. That's where we started today. And we reached all the way over here to the very top of Rome. Rome, a city luckily untouched by the major wars of the 20th century, also untouched by many wars of the 19th century as well. But before then, Rome was a very constantly, constantly like challenged land where powers from the other states of Italy, and also the German Holy Roman Empire also invaded. So here we see all the major attractions. And there's so many, 40 here listed. I wonder if we can see EUR, which is the area that Benito Mussolini built as the new headquarters of Rome from this distance. Now for perspective, you can see how huge Rome is. Rome is slightly larger than New York City, slightly larger than London as well. Massive, massive city. Not as big as a population though. So there are areas that tend to be pretty empty or very green, especially right around the foot of the hills. Let's see one more time the views from over here. That's absolutely amazing. This is the Eternal City, everyone. Stay tuned. Bug flew into my glasses. Stay tuned. Every day, 9 a.m. New York City time, 3 p.m. Rome time, starting tomorrow at the Pantheon, the mysteries of the Pantheon and the crimes that took place in ancient Rome. Stay tuned for that tomorrow at 3 p.m. Rome time, 9 a.m. New York City time. These are the beautiful views of the Eternal City, and they call it the Eternal City because this city is more than 2,000 years old, very long history, one of the first major cities of the world, surpassing 1 million people living here in ancient Roman times. That means right around anywhere between 100 BC all the way to maybe 300 AD. More than 1 million people lived right here in Rome. Only surpassed till very recently. So thank you everyone so much for watching. And if you're a supporter, you're going to get access of 360 views of this area right after a Roman trip, and then you'll be getting also additional mini videos throughout these 2 weeks. So if you want to become a supporter, think of it as giving me a tip for $5 for showing you all these beautiful views from the comfort of your own phone. Click the button right down there, or the link is in the description of this video. Also, you can leave a one-time contribution for supporting transportation costs or costs to get to these major attractions, and also data costs. All help out to continue showing you all these beautiful cities from the comfort of your own phone. So either you can travel here vicariously, or learn about these places so you can travel here yourself. Thank you everyone so much for tuning in. Keep being awesome, and always keep on exploring. Arrivederci, everyone.